Future projections, college football 2022, right here at the Voice of College Football. The overs and unders. Vegas gives us the number. We let you know, is that team going to exceed expectations or tank? Let's run through them. Keep in mind that we appeared on Michigan Podcast with Steve Dace just a few weeks ago. Check out that video on Michigan Podcast. Steve is the best in the business with future projections. 22-12 the past several seasons. Check out his selections that he delivered to me and got my feedback. And then keep in mind, we took a stab at this for the first time on record, formally on record, time-stamped. The video's out there, 5-2 in our first crack at it last off season. All right, let's check out our best selections for 2022. First, we go to Mark Stoops in Kentucky. The Wildcats were good to me last season. They're going to be good to me again this season, even though the projection is more difficult to win here. Kentucky last season at 6.5 win projection by Vegas. I grabbed those Cats in a hurry. They went 9-3. Easily broke through the 6.5 barrier. This time Vegas has upped it to 7.5. I still like Kentucky to go over. 3 gimmies non-conference. Even though Kentucky at times will play a bit sloppy and close to the vest and make it a nail-biter against a group of 5 in the fourth quarter, even these good Kentucky teams the past few seasons, 3 gimmies non-conference, then throw in Louisville. Maybe a bit of a toss-up, but Kentucky with a great track record recently against the Cardinals. Throw in all sorts of possible wins, probable wins during the regular season. Vanderbilt, Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, Missouri, as well as Mississippi State in the Western Division. I love Kentucky over 6.5. A selection in the Big 12 that caught my eye, and many times when a number catches your eye, beware. But I'm still going to follow through with this one. JT Daniels, please stay healthy. West Virginia's gone from one of the worst 2 or 3 quarterback rooms in the conference to one of the top 2 or 3 quarterback rooms in the Big 12, thanks to JT Daniels. Graham Harrell, offensive coordinator. This club went 6-6. Now, they've lost some key components on defense, but they did win 6 games last year. The over-under is 5.5. You've got Towson, you got Kansas, even though they only beat the Jayhawks by 1 score last year. And then you've got a glut of Big 12 games, and also the game at Virginia Tech in the non-conference is certainly winnable. The Hokies probably fielding their worst team in a couple decades, most likely this season. So, West Virginia 5.5, take the over. And again, JT Daniels, stay healthy. USC at 9.5. What do we think here? I do not think in any way this is a slam dunk selection, but I think the transition to greatness, to elite status, to Pac-12 dominance and beyond is going to take a little bit of time at USC. They've loaded up on offensive personnel. They are loaded on offense. They have reinforced the defense. The defense was deplorable last year, but it's not the same defense. So I expect a significant upgrade at USC and most likely a Pac-12 championship game appearance, but not a 10-2 record. There's Notre Dame at home. There's Utah on the road. There's UCLA at the Rose Bowl. And then there's a possible trip up at Oregon State. And there are other possible trip ups along the way in the Pac-12. A deep but mediocre, of course, Pac-12. USC at 9.5. I'm going to cut it shy of that with the under at 9. USC, take the under 9.5. All right, Texas. This is not a half win consideration where there is a possible push. And this is what gives me some comfort here. Texas getting 8 wins, according to Vegas. Well, they're playing Bama in week 2. That's a loss right there. I have little confidence in Steve Sarkisian, who took over a top 15 roster in college football last season and went 5-7. There's a new quarterback, whether that's going to be Hudson Card taking over for Casey Thompson. Of course, Card won the job out of camp and lost it due to poor play and poor offensive line play last year, or Quinn Ewers is going to win the job. Quinn Ewers, remarkable talent, but again, a first-time starting quarterback in the Big 12. There's the Bama game, and there is a litany of 50-50 toss-ups like Kansas State and West Virginia and others in the Big 12. You've got Oklahoma State, and Baylor at the top of the conference. Texas does not win 9. So at the worst, we push on this one, but we're looking for a win. Texas under 8. Next up, I love this selection. Steve had it as well. I made my selections before I saw what Steve had, and I'm going to steal one from him as well. We'll get to that in a second. First off, this is the best pick on the board. Pitt, 8.5. Of course, a 10-2 football team in the regular season last year. Minus Kenny Pickett, minus Jordan Addison, minus offensive coordinator Mark Whipple, and a tougher schedule. Consider Pitt's non-conference schedule. Tennessee continues to improve. Pitt's got to take on the Volunteers, and to beat them 2 years in a row, I'm liking Tennessee's odds to go to Heinz Field. Not a great home field advantage, and that is following the invasion by West Virginia for the backyard brawl at Heinz Field. So West Virginia, Tennessee, and then a Western Michigan team that won at Pitt. The Panthers return the trip to the MAC territory and take on Western Michigan in week 3. And then consider this in ACC play: at Louisville, at Virginia, at North Carolina, at Miami. Pitt goes 8-4. That's a nice season. They don't go 9-3. Pitt 8.5. Take the under. And then finally, this is the one I steal from Steve. I like this one. Did not consider it. I'm going to flip-flop on what I considered last year and what I took in one of my 2 losses in going 5-2. Stanford was at 3.5, and I thought, my goodness, yes, I'm going through the schedule, and I'm finding it difficult to come up with wins for Stanford, but at the same time, they can't go 4-8. Well, they went 3-9. But with Tanner McKee at quarterback and the number just going to 4.5 and a veteran roster, it is difficult to find wins for this Stanford team. They play Notre Dame on the road and BYU non-conference. Got to win one of those 2 games. The other one, Colgate. And they miss possibly the 2 worst teams in the conference. So they play, of course, 9 conference games in the Pac-12. So they only miss 2 opponents, would-be opponents in the Pac-12, and they missed the 2 worst, Colorado and Arizona. So Stanford, the schedule is stacked for a Pac-12 schedule. I still like Stanford to take us over a 4.5 win total. Stanford over 4.5. And then finally, I considered this, and this is where it gets a bit tricky. If you understand the betting lines week to week during the regular season, typically the point spread makes for a minus 110 betting line on each side. But Vegas really, really stacks the weight on one side of these over-unders because they just have to mathematically, basically. Plus, they're trying to make money and more than their 10 or 11%. So I looked at Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State at 10.5, and I thought, out of those 3, 2 of them for sure will go 12-0 or 11-1. So I felt confident saying, take a 3-pack on Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama, all at 10.5. But the trick there is that Bama is at minus 190, Georgia and Ohio State at minus 205. So you would have to win all 3. Got to win all 3 to make money. Ohio State would be the one selection that I would think would be the most likely to lose 2 games, with Oregon, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Penn State on the schedule. So because of the odds, stay far, far away from the proposed 3-pack there. My over-unders, leave your comments down below in the comment section. Would love to see what you have for your best selections for 2022. Over-unders right here at the Voice of College Football. Next call-in show, give me a call. We'll talk college football with you.